I'd like to dedicate the prose reading to Kay Boyle, our friend and teacher who is recovering from surgery in the hospital. I just went to see her, and for those of you who may have heard otherwise and have been concerned, she's much better and is planning on being back with us next year. I've also just finished reading a personal narrative of hers, which is in this book, 4 Visions of America. It's called Report from Lockup. In that account, she tells of being in prison following demonstrations at the Oakland Induction Center in protest against the Vietnamese War. That was in 1970. That was the same year I was working on the book I'm going to read from. At that time, we of course all had strong feelings about the Vietnamese War. My action was exactly the opposite to Kay Boyle's. I copped out and got out of the country, only to discover that there is no escape from oneself or one's country. Many other Americans, a lot of them much younger than I, had gone wandering. Some were locked up as a result of drug traffic. Some are still locked up. I was locked up. I had an overdose of Moroccan hashish, and it was laced with lysergic acid, which I'm allergic to. And I woke up in the mental ward of Malaga's civil hospital, and I thought I wouldn't get out. Well, the first thing I tried to get hold of after they refused me the telephone was something to write on a piece of paper, and I began to keep a diary, which became the basis of the book, Confession from the Málaga Madhouse. In Kay Boyle's paper, she talks about Dylan's song, The Whole World is a Prison, Some of Us Are Inside, Some of Us Are Outside. And it was there in the madhouse that I became more and more convinced that the whole world is a madhouse, and some of us were inside and some of us outside. There in Malaga, while I was in Malaga, at that time I had a contract for a book that my editor wanted me to write, which was a feel-good book. That is, it was about the mother who is raising a child alone, the single mother, and how you triumph over odds and all that kind of thing. And I found the odds were against nurture, and I haven't finished that book. It's in process, though. I'm working on it. And meanwhile, this other book happens and spoke of how our culture and ourselves impede us, how we are impeded by what we are and where we live. I mother her. Mari. She has come out into the corridor the same time as me this morning. Red miniskirt up to her hips, tan tights of heavy net with red knee socks pulled up over them, patent leather, red baby doll shoes. She looks like a Christmas tree decoration. White sweater and very pale young face, decidedly slack-jawed. She bears a small scar on her left cheek. It looks like it was nicked with a knife. Her hair is mini-cropped with bangs hanging down into great black eyes. Mi madre, she repeats again and again. What will my mother say? She tells me she is 16. We are looking at the women against the wall as we walk, as we talk. They sit on benches just beyond us in a long, cold room. Shrieks and thumps have awakened us. Did these women make them? Gray, sallow faces with leathery skin, with eyes that look no place. Marie and I have never seen each other before, but we recognize in each other something we do not see in these. I take her hand and we walk down a ramp leading out to a chill courtyard. A tremble from our bodies meets in our hands. In the charcoal light, women walk on the tiles of the court among a plantation of trees, perhaps a dozen trees with whitewashed trunks glaring out of the dark. One of the women, very thin, wearing a smeary green wool coat with bright, intelligent eyes, darts to the center of the courtyard as if it is a stage, and flinging a gaze up at Venus in the pre-dawn sky, she opens her throat and joins the morning birdsong. La Guardia Civil, la Guardia Civil, de Sevilla, de Sevilla. Her voice a macaw's. She flashes a smile as bright as the tree trunks and walks about the courtyard with her coat flapping out just the way those worn by the Guardia flap. She paces, makes a few military turns, and repeats the same cry. Behind her, at a smaller house than the one we've just walked out of, through an open doorway, we see a creature being carried out by two others. It is in the shape of a naked chair and is held at either armpit, swinging. A rocking chair making squeaking sounds. The two bearers take it through the courtyard corner to a small room that looks like a latrine. One of the bearers raises an arm at the women who have turned to look at the weazened creature, the arm of a blue uniform. She says, "Don't look at the grandmother, don't look at her." Mary presses both hands to her face. Then she looks at me, incredulous. Por Dios, I know about this place. When I was small, my mother said they'd put me here if I wasn't good. The grandmother is taken from the latrine back inside, and soon the two in blue appear with someone else, a young girl, erect but convulsive, from whose face sound flows like blood. I lead Mary back up the ramp. "Come eat, niñas," says a heavy woman with in a blue apron. She is all squares, a square head, squared shoulders, squared apron. She separates us. "You in there." She points Mary the way into an enormous dining hall with gray marble-top tables where 100 can sit, are sitting, a banquet hall. There is a terrific din. Mary, her feet toeing in, walks past a giant tin tureen that steams at the doorway. "You here, Nina," she says the heavy woman to me. She leads me down the corridor to a smaller room with 2 tables. She holds my elbow as if she expects me to fall until I am seated. "Take the pills," she says, pointing to 2 orange pills beside my plate. 2 pills are beside every plate. Other women are slipping them into their mouths. I look up at the square woman and shake my head. I won't be doped on Thorazine, I think elegantly, distinctly. Square says nothing and pours a weak coffee milk into my glass cup. "Eat, Nina," she says. There is half a roll of hard bread beside my cup. "Eat your breakfast." I sip the coffee milk, chalky. In comes a nun and everybody straightens up. She wears starchy white, is heavy too, and 50-ish. Square says to her, "She won't take her pills." The nun stands above me and fixes upon me an utterly indomitable gaze. She is another matter, this one. "Take them." "What are they?" I ask. She returns, "Take them." She is holding the bottle from which they have come in her hand. "May I see the label?" She jerks the bottle back and commands me to take the pills at once. It breaks upon me that I am no match for her, so I obey.